Okay, let's get into it. What we're looking at here isn't just a fighter jet. This is a story about how sanctions, strategy, and a powerful alliance are fundamentally reshaping the skies over South Asia. So, how exactly does a piece of military hardware become a major tool of global power? When we think about fighter jets, we usually think of air-to-air combat. But the real power of this jet, the JF-17 Thunder, lies in the much bigger geopolitical game it's playing. This aircraft really symbolizes a massive shift in military, economic, and diplomatic strategy. And here it is, the star of our show, the JF-17 Thunder. It's a joint project between China and Pakistan. Now, it was designed to be a cost-effective, capable fighter, but its real story is all about shifting global alliances. To really understand the story of the JF-17, you've got to go back a bit to the late 1980s. See, Pakistan was in a tough spot. Its air force was getting old, and its main military ally, the United States, was about to pull the plug. Okay, so this timeline really lays out just how quickly things changed. Pakistan was deep into developing a new fighter with the US, but then, bam, sanctions hit. First over Tiananmen Square, and then the big one, the Pressler Amendment, which was all about Pakistan's nuclear program. Suddenly, their F-16 deliveries were frozen. This forced Pakistan to look east to find a completely new partner. And this quote really gets to the heart of it. The bottom line was this: Pakistan needed what you could call an unsanctionable air force. They just could not risk being cut off from Western tech and spare parts ever again. They needed a partner who was totally immune to pressure from the US. So this desperation, it forged a whole new kind of alliance. And for China, well, Pakistan's predicament was a golden opportunity. You see, for China, this was never just about selling a plane. This was its chance to step up and prove that it could be a reliable security partner to fill that void the US left behind. And that sent a really powerful message across the entire region. And this partnership went deep. I mean, China didn't just sell some jets and walk away. It helped Pakistan build its own defense industry from the ground up. By transferring technology and expertise to places like the Pakistan Aeronautical Complex, China literally cemented this alliance into Pakistan's own infrastructure. Now, this industrial model they built together, it was an absolute game changer for Pakistan. But, and this is a big but, it came with some very serious strings attached. So get this, the work is split. Pakistan actually manufactures 58% of the airframe, while China handles the rest. This work-share arrangement was absolutely key to building up Pakistan's industrial base and giving them a real sense of ownership. But, it also created this incredibly complex cross-border supply chain that has its own vulnerabilities. Right, so what's the catch? What's the real cost of getting this kind of capability? Well, it turns out this whole partnership wasn't just built on shared interests. It was built on debt, a lot of it. We're talking around $29 billion. Now, to be clear, that's not all for the JF-17 program, but it paints a stark picture of the deep economic dependency that goes along with these huge projects. This debt is a powerful form of leverage for China, and it puts immense pressure on Pakistan to generate revenue any way it can, and that includes selling fighter jets. All right, let's shift focus, because the JF-17 doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's a direct challenge to the military balance in South Asia, and you can be sure that India is watching very, very closely. And this comparison is perfect because it really highlights the strategic rivalry. You've got the JF-17 on one side and India's own homegrown Tejas fighter on the other. They're often pitted against each other, but really, they represent two completely different philosophies of air power. This table just lays it all out, plain and simple. India's Tejas program is a slow, methodical, long-term bet on total self-reliance. The JF-17, on the other hand, is all about speed, scale, and exports. The numbers here really speak for themselves. Way more jets in service and a growing list of international customers. And as the JF-17 gets more advanced, especially with its Block 3 version that has modern radar and avionics, this advantage in numbers starts to look like a serious capability gap. And make no mistake, this alliance goes way beyond the factory floor. It is deeply military. You have these joint exercises like Shaheen, where Pakistani and Chinese pilots are training together, side by side, honing their tactics. And what that does is force India to prepare for the incredibly daunting possibility of a two-front war. Okay, so let's zoom out and look at the JF-17 on the world stage. Because it's not just for Pakistan anymore, it's become a key tool for diplomacy and, frankly, a much-needed source of cash. So you see this growing list of customers. Pakistan and China are aggressively marketing the JF-17 as the affordable alternative to pricey Western jets. They're targeting nations across Africa and Asia, and every single sale expands their sphere of influence, locks in a long-term partnership, and gives them a foothold in strategically important regions. But it hasn't all been smooth sailing. The program hit some pretty serious turbulence. Myanmar, one of its key customers, ended up grounding its entire fleet of the early model jets because of major technical problems. And that raises some serious questions about the JF-17's reliability and whether the long-term support model is really viable for other buyers. All right, so after all this, what's the bottom line? What does the JF-17 really represent? The JF-17 is so much more than a jet. It's the physical symbol of a strategic alliance that's been forged in steel. It's really a fascinating case study of how geopolitics, military necessity, and deep economic ties all get welded together. And that leaves us with this one huge critical question. As this jet takes to the skies all over the world, is it truly a symbol of Pakistan's self-reliance, or is it really a chain binding it ever tighter to Beijing? The answer to that question is going to shape the future of South Asia for many, many years to come.